Hello, everybody, and happy Thursday, March 17th, and St. Patrick's Day to everybody. It started out an interesting weather day. Like, not gonna lie, it was hot, and then it was freezing. It was raining. Didn't really know what to make of it. Either way, Craig's Call is back on the air. 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey, the voice of Montclair State. As always, I'm your host, Craig Gorbanoff, live on the dial, 90.3 FM, WMSCRadio.com, and the iHeart Radio app. My normal co-host, as usual, Alexander Han. Not looking homeless this week.
Because you told me not to.
No, I wanted to make sure. And now, we have a special guest for you guys today, a special interview. Professional MMA fighter and also Montclair State student, Artur Rofi. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming out. So, let's just jump right in it. You got a big fight coming up. April 30th at the Sands in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. What's going through your mind? What are you doing right now to get ready?
Well, training. I have my own gym. It's a good thing. And getting ready for this fight. It's been a work in progress for the last 2 years, because that was the last time I fought in World Series of Fighting. And then since then, I've been trying to reevaluate a few things in my life and get myself situated to be stable and keep on fighting. So training is going good. Financially and physically, I'm doing good, so everything is good.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Sounds great. So we like to support our own here at WMSC and Montclair State students. So this fight is an XCC fight. How are people going to be able to watch it on April 30th or follow it?
Well, there's a couple ways. I think Go Fight Live is one of the pay-per-views or that you can order it. But the thing about local shows, like small MMA local shows, you're better off watching them in person. Because in there you get to watch amateur fighters and you get to watch young, upcoming professional fighters. And one day, 3-4 years from now, 5 years from now, when you see those young fighters fighting on national television, whether it's World Series of Fighting, Bellator, or UFC, you can say, hey, I remember that individual from when they were 0-0 or 2-0 and now they're fighting for a world title. So the best way to go support local shows is to go watch them in person. And tickets are not that expensive. For this fight, front row seats are $65 and general admission $55.
That's not bad at all.
Not bad at all. I was just about to say.
That's not bad at all. Maybe we'll make the trip out there.
And the hotel gives like promo codes for the fighters, so like you get rooms for like very affordable, like $70-$80 on the weekends. Which
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's a plus.
That's not bad at all. Let's talk about your career. You seem to be a submission specialist, right? I'm looking over your past couple of fights. You're 6-1 in your professional career, and let's count out 5 victories by submission. What is it about the triangle choke and the armbar that you like so much?
Well, I wasn't keeping track or count of how many submissions, but
well, that's what we're for. That's what the radio guys are for.
That's what you paid to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll pay to entertain.
Exactly.
I didn't discover jiu-jitsu till I actually moved up from New Jersey to Jersey. When I got out of high school in 2002, after 9/11 happened the year before, I joined the military right away, and then fighting the war on terrorism, and I felt joining the Navy, trying to travel the world, see other countries, and I got to do all that. And then that's where I picked up MMA. That's when Hoist Gracie and Matt Hughes fought. That was that big pay-per-view, and Matt Hughes won. I used to wrestle in high school, so I was, for Matt Hughes, and, I was so happy. So that drew me in MMA. But then as I got good in the amateurs and won the nationals and won a couple more titles on top of that, I saw the importance of jiu-jitsu. And the thing about jiu-jitsu and judo that really represent the human species, where I don't mean to be sexist in my language, but where one is the male and the other one is the female. And jiu-jitsu, by nature, it's the female. It's so beautiful. It's a sport that has to do a lot with the mind and the body and how to put both of them together.
Absolutely.
To achieve positive results.
Now, in our planning, I didn't let this out because I wanted to be a surprise. I did do martial arts for a pretty decent amount of my life. I didn't compete that much, but I did martial arts for a while. I studied jiu-jitsu, studied judo, and you're right. It's an art. It's a completely different state of mind than when you're doing stand-up. It's a whole different ball game, and that's the beautiful thing about MMA. You have to be able to mix all of it together.
Right, and just like the name itself, mixed martial arts, you got to pick all this arts, and that's where the individual has to use the rational thinking of what would be the best form of art or arts. It's because it's no longer MMA has, even though it's a young sport and it's only been on national television for about like the last 10 good years that it's developing publicity.
Yeah.
You still have to think of what sports have to combine together because it's not just about one sport. Jiu-Jitsu, the Gracie family already established that Jiu-Jitsu is one of the most dominant sports and you can go against anybody with it. Just for the simple fact that every fight goes to the ground. So it gives you the capability of to defend yourself when you're most vulnerable, when you would think. So you have to rationally decide. For me, I think boxing and Jiu-Jitsu are the two best sports to mix and start off right, because everything starts with hands and then winds up to the ground. So, you start everything with your hands and you'll be okay with Jiu-Jitsu. Just trust Jiu-Jitsu.
Absolutely. And we're talking with Artur Rofi, professional MMA fighter, MSU student, and he's got a fight coming up April 30th at the Sands Casino in Bethlehem. It's not that far, maybe an hour and a half tops.
Not far at all.
Depending on traffic. So if you can, try and make the trip out there. Tickets are affordable. Now, Arthur, let's talk about your background. You mentioned a little bit you got into jiu-jitsu during your time serving our country, which, by the way, thank you for your service. What before that kind of brought you to mixed martial arts? How did you get to where you are now?
If you can't tell by my accent, I wasn't born here. But I am American. I'm just as American as you're, probably even more American than some other people because the way I feel about certain issues that we got going on, especially with the whole war in Middle East, something that I participated towards. I was born in Albania. I was born in 84. 89, 90 is when socialism came. Communism was going directed towards socialism. 90 we had, I think, 90, 91 we had the first elections for democracy. And then in 97 we had another civil war because of the skin pyramids that happened in Albania. My uncle was involved in those. And my family got lucky. We talk about the best things that happen in life are by chance. I've been reading this book. It's called The Hand of God. And I don't think there's so much by chance, but there's so much as the hand of God that, I believe in God. So we just so happened to come here during the second civil war we had, and that was in 97. So thanks to Bill Clinton and his administration back then, even though I'm not a liberal.
Hey, man, that's all right. That's all right.
But that's the good thing about this country. It gives you the freedom to choose.
Exactly.
And I don't think people really understand the importance of what it is to be free to choose till that freedom is taken away from you.
Absolutely. If you want to call in, you got a question, 973-655-4256, 973-655-4256. Shoot me a tweet at cgorbs94. We'd love to hear from you. Talking to Artur Rofi about his life, his mixed martial arts career. So you're a student here at Montclair State.
Yes, sir.
What are you studying right now?
Well, my major is political science, which I finished all my classes except I have to take my language classes. So I'm gonna take the test in NYU pretty soon. I've just been putting it aside since last semester. And a minor's in public administration. And if it wasn't for Professor Ariel Alvarez, Professor Alvarez, I'm sorry, don't beat me up when you see me.
You might be able to take him. You're a pro fighter.
Oh, I don't know, man. He's good at law,
Oh,
so
yeah?
I can't. So, but no, he's Professor Alvarez. He's like such a motivating person. He about a year ago, I was gonna need a job, like an internship, and I was thinking because I was looking at my career avenues, options, and he was one of the people to offer me an internship gig, and I had to reject him down because of what's been going on with my mixed martial arts career. Things just fall in my lap one after the other, and start to decide to stick with this path.
All right. Sounds good, man. And let's talk about your opponent in this upcoming fight, Francisco Izata. Am I saying that right?
I believe it's Isato or Izata. Okay. I don't know how you pronounce his last name, and I apologize for that. But yes, that is my my opponent.
You guys have similar records, 7-2. You don't have to tell me your strategy or anything.
No,
but
it's
just
okay.
What have you been doing in camp to kind of get yourself ready?
Well, nothing really changes. I'm kind of like in the same idea with Fyodor Emelianenko, the emperor. Like I love that guy. He was especially during the Pride days. That's one of my motivating fighters. I mean, I used to watch him fight all these big fighters, and in Japan, the use of steroids it's encouraged. And then you see this guy from Russia. I mean, he's big, but he's not that big. And then this other heavyweights are like double his size, and he's just picking him up and slamming him and knocking him out. And in most cases, even making him submit because he's imposing his will on them. So that's my strategy. Be best at what I do, and impose my will on another person. And it's a 3-5 minute round fight for 50 minutes, taken for that ride. It's a beautiful ride too.
Absolutely. So you're going to go in there, you're going to fight your fight, and you're going to dictate what's happening in the octagon.
I will use my strengths, whether it's the hand speed, whether it's agility, and my ground, my jiu-jitsu, mixed with my wrestling. And that's another thing that most people don't talk about me is I used to wrestle in high school, and I have one of the best coaches, and his name was Carl Monaco. Carl Monaco is a 3-time or 4-time national champ out of Montclair State University.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So... Okay,
you can't escape anything in New Jersey.
No, it's a small world.
Isn't that funny?
It's such a small. We had the wrestling team here is now a club team, and about a year ago we had the captain of the club wrestling team, Zach Mateus, on, and he was talking about how great the Montclair State wrestling program was as an NCAA program.
Yeah, and then back in the day, from what my understanding from the stories I heard from Coach Carl Monaco, was that back then Division III athletes, say if you won the national the NCAA tournament, you were able to compete in the NCAA 1 tournament, which he was a finalist.
Wow.
Twice or once in the NCAA 1. So he won, I think, back then. And back then you couldn't wrestle as a freshman because of the rules. And so you really started as a sophomore and you only had 3 years. So I think it was a 3-time national champ and 1 time or 2 times runner-up in Division 1. And from what I hear, one of the matches, I think he got robbed. I mean that's the... But then that's always what everybody says when they have their favorite fighter or athlete. And nobody wants to see that lose, or
Right, but you had this coach who was a great wrestler right here from
Great person on top of all, by the way.
Great person on top of it, and you learned a lot, and it's really helping you right now in your career. So you've taken the past couple of years off, you mentioned. So what has the last 2 years been like for you, and how much are you looking forward to just getting back in there?
Well, okay, so what happened is after the World Series of Fighting, actually my opponent too, he's a veteran of World Series of Fighting. So what they did in this tournament, this is a fighter tournament, and then you have 2 veterans from Bellator, and you have 2 veterans for World Series of Fighting. And so they kind of like, I think in a way, they're kind of trying to see like, okay, whose show is second or third to UFC? And I get it, you know. The only loss I got is to the previous world champion, World Series of Fighting, which I thought was a draw, but that's not the point. No,
it was by decision. You took him to the end. So,
nobody had taken him to the end in the 8th fight. But if you watch the fight, you'll see that there should have been an extra round right after the last round. There should have been a rematch of that fight. But nevertheless, I think this is a good tournament for whoever wins this belt is the best 145 pounder on the East Coast. And I don't mean that to blow up myself, but all 4 fighters in there, they have accomplished so much from amateur all the way to the pro. So I'm really looking forward to see where I rank with these fighters. I've been doing this sport for 10 years. I'm a black belt under the Gracies. I love the whole Renzo Gracie family. That's my family, and it's like knowledge. Where does it rank?
Exactly.
Is mine young? Is it mature? Is it old? Is it strong knowledge? That's what I want to find out.
Absolutely. So we'll find out April 30th at the Sands in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. One more time, how can people follow what you're up to, and how can they, get themselves over to watch this fight?
Well, right now the only network I'm using is Facebook. I mean, I've been lazy the last few months because
you're training. You don't got time for
I had to open my own gym and being an entrepreneur. I think that's the best thing that I have discovered in the last 2 years coming here at Montclair State was you read about politics and you read about exploitations and what England and other countries have done to the third world countries and what China's doing and even what we're doing to some parts of the world, and you're like, whoa, like then you start getting recognized with self-interest and money and all that. So I never liked corporate America. I like individualism. I like entrepreneurship, and you learn a lot about life and people. And I'm just with the sport of MMA, and it's so young, and I love it because it's pure knowledge. It's a knowledge that has to do with the human body. It's how to handle an individual, and you know what, fighting should never really happen, and it should always be contained in a controlled environment. But when you know to fight, then you know the reasons why you should fight, and there should never really be any peaceful reason for anybody to fight. So hopefully through the world, through the sport of mixed martial arts, we could bring a little more peace of instead of killing people, and that's my goal. You really fight for freedom in there. What was taken from you? That's the main reason why you fight in there.
Absolutely, Arthur. Want to thank you very much for joining us on the show today. You'll be fighting April 30th, the Sands Casino at Bethlehem, XCC 24. You can follow it online. We'll get all that information out to you via Twitter at Seagorbs94. We'll post it on our website as well. Again, Arthur, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Coming up later in the show, we'll be talking some NFL offseason free agency moves and a little bit of draft talk. We always like talk NFL draft here on Craig's Call. You're tuned in to 90.3 FM, the voice of Montclair State.